how I feel like social media has helped me as an artist to sell my art. And I'm going to just talk specifically about the sales I've made through social media. Oh, there's got to be a better way to do these introductions. The idea for this video is to make a video where I don't have to try as hard because I've been making social media content for over 10 years. Recently, I started thinking maybe there's a better way for me to do this. And so this is an experiment, this video, where I want to try and just put the camera up and talk to the camera. And, you know, most of the videos will be about who I am and my life as an artist. I'm a full-time sculptor. I've been an artist for my entire life, but I've been doing it professionally full-time for about 13 years, creating and selling original stone carvings. There's one right behind me right here. This is a polar bear carved in Italian marble. Now, I've done these really elaborate process videos, which you can watch also, but the amount of return that I get for putting those out there is like so little that it wasn't sustainable anymore. It wasn't sustainable. So I just wanted to come on here, and I actually made a challenge for myself yesterday to do 30 days like this, where I just come on here and I talk, and I kind of go in the moment and I speak the points that are here and present in the moment to communicate about. After I made that video, first I'll say this. I actually challenged, me and my wife, we decided to do a 30-day challenge together, and that was, I think today might be day 7. And I started actually posting on Instagram because I post on Instagram a lot. That's sort of been my focus mostly over the years. And so I started posting there, and then, you know, I watched a video on YouTube, and, you know, that point of being able to use YouTube to support me and my art business and myself in my life. And so I just thought I'd give it a go and come on here and do that. I shaved my head today because when I carve stone, the dust gets in my hair and it's really difficult to manage. And so it's easier just to have a shaved head when I'm doing a lot of carving, especially marble. Marble dust is, it's chalky. It's kind of chalky. Where like I also carve soapstone, which is like more soapy, literally. So anyways, the chalky marble dust gets in your hair, and so I shaved my head today. But I did also want to make these videos still supportive and within the context of my life an artist, and looking at, well, what can I actually share? You know, I want to have some structure to these videos. I'll say I did not want to make this video today. I kind of had the lull that a person sometimes gets after they have a great idea and they sort of execute on that idea for the first little while, and then they kind of hit like a lull. So I was like, yesterday I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this new style and it's going to be amazing. And then today I'm like, oh, I can't post, like, which, by the way, brings up a really interesting point that, you know, can you create art as an artist, as a person who maybe wants to do art as a living? Can you create art every day, whether you're happy or sad or whatever mood you're in? Especially being on social media and posting content, that's probably been the most difficult thing. A lot of the times, if I'm not feeling in a great mood, I can post a process video and kind of hide behind that. But in terms of the art making stuff, I find I'm able to carve, sculpt stone. It doesn't matter if I'm happy or sad. Sometimes if I'm like really not feeling good at all, maybe I don't want to work and do some art. But for the most part, you know, carving can be very therapeutic for me. It's something that it's very hands-on and very physical, and I really just start focusing on that creative process. And a lot of the times it helps me get through periods of where I'm like feeling depressed or feeling low or not feeling great. Sometimes I'm just like, I just want to go carve. Just get me in my studio. I just want to focus on my carving for a few hours, and it's just like interesting to me, and I'm like creating this thing in front of me. And then when I'm done, I feel a lot more present, and I'm like, okay, that's awesome. I created something. So anyways, today I did not want to post this video, or even I didn't really know how it was going to go, like how my mood was going to go. But here I am. I'm going for it. I would like to do a 30-day challenge. I mean, I'm going to do my social media 30-day challenge, posting every day. Maybe it's not going to be these long form content pieces on YouTube. But this brings me to my next point in terms of how I feel like social media has helped me as an artist to sell my art. Specifically about the sales I've made through social media, because I have made some pretty significant sales through social media, and it's been up and down over the years, but I have made sales because of social media, and I just want to talk a little bit about that, and also how I feel like it helps me as an artist, because I feel like even if you were to if you were to apply to a gallery, maybe there's a component of it where they'd go check out your social media account. What's your Instagram, right? They want to go and look at your Instagram. So for me, I sell most of my work through a gallery, and I have for most of my career as an artist. That's been how I've been able to make a living as an artist, is the gallery does a lot of the heavy lifting for me. They sell a lot of my work for me because they have a process to sell work. They have qualified buyers walking into the gallery. However, one of my principles as an artist was, even if a gallery is selling my work, it's never the gallery's responsibility to sell your work. At the end of the day, you're selling your work. Even if a gallery is the one standing in front of the client and making the sale, you put that artwork in there, and if they don't sell your work, it's not their problem. It's your problem. So that was kind of always been my approach too, and why I push social media, because I felt like it can only help. It can only help sort of get my work out there more. Maybe someone sees a piece of my content and then contacts the gallery, right? So I can do what I can do, and they can do what they can do. I will say too, I think there's a misconception on social media or from some artists that you can't sell like more expensive artwork through social media. When I've had a few instances where I've sold pieces over $10,000 through social media, they don't see the piece until it arrives at their house, kind of thing. And it's kind of nerve-wracking for me too as an artist, because I want to make sure that they're getting something that's going to blow their mind, right? And I feel like sculpture is really cool because you can see it online and you're seeing it on a flat surface, right? Whether it's a screen or a tablet or your phone or whatever, it's in the two-dimensional reality. But when that shows up at your house and you unbox it, the three-dimensionality of it, it's going to have an impact. And that's what I find with sculptures, is it's like seeing it in real life is so much more interesting and different, right? It's nothing like what you even see on Instagram or wherever, on YouTube. So that's the first thing, is you can sell expensive artwork through social media. I also had a client one time reach out to me after they'd received a piece because it didn't match the colors that they'd seen in the video. And when I made this video, I did this big color reveal. When I used to use oil on these pieces, the oil, when you first would oil these pieces, the color would look really intense, but then it fades in after a couple weeks, right? And then it kind of gives you, that's the sort of color that it's going to be. The client said, hey, this is not what I thought. And, it was just a good reminder for me to just like try and represent the piece as well as I could, and don't overdo it. Don't make, because it's easy to adjust the saturation and make everything pop online. But then if they get it in real life and it doesn't match that, then for me, that was like, okay, I really want to make sure I represent these things as real as possible. When I'm engaging in that sales process, like make sure I have photographs that represent and show the image in its natural color the best that I can. So that was one thing that I learned through selling work through social media. I think ultimately, I always felt it just helped me profile and position myself as an artist, as an authority. This is what I'm doing. Also, and I post regularly, so it's like if someone was interested in my work and they go to my Instagram page or YouTube or TikTok or wherever, they're going to see this person is actively creating work. This is actually what they're working on like right now in their studio. So they're busy, they're here, right? What's the statement I heard? People follow things that are moving, right? So if you want followers, you have to be moving. And I feel like that can apply also to that, what I just said, where if someone is interested in your art and they go to your page and they see it's active and alive, then they're like, okay, this person is like here right now in the present. Let's contact them or contact the gallery or whatever. It was a good compliment. So even if someone was looking at a piece of mine through the gallery and then they went and checked out my Instagram and they would see, oh, this person is like actually doing work right now. I always thought about how I would be perceived, and am I representing the gallery well, right? Because these are professional establishments too, and I want to represent them well. I want to also represent myself as an artist, my personal expression, but I want to make sure that I'm representing the different associations that I have well too. And I'm always considering like that dimension of it. I also ask where they would find my work, because if they say to me, oh, I was in this gallery in this area and I saw one of your pieces and now I decided to check you up, and it's like 6 months later, I would be like, that's amazing, thank you very much, and find out what piece they're interested in, and then I would contact the gallery, or I would direct that client through and to the gallery, so that sales processed through the gallery. I think that's another thing for me that I've been very cognizant of, is just making sure that I align well with the gallery, make sure that if a client sees a piece through the gallery, that sale is being processed through the gallery, and have consistent pricing. So my pricing does not change whether I sell it or my gallery sells it, even though a gallery will take 50%. The pricing is even across the board. So no matter where that transaction point is happening, the client is paying the same, and it's consistent. What else? This is getting very technical. This is getting very, what's the word? Rigid. It's getting rigid. This is not why I'm doing these videos. I don't want to make these videos rigid. So I'm just going to kind of loosen up a bit here. Try and make this a little more interesting for the remaining section of this video. What can I talk about? I'm doing this challenge to try and find a sustainable way to be an artist in this world, right? Like, because my process with stone carving takes so long, and I create one-of-one pieces, and I haven't pushed into the print or reproduction market, whether that's through bronzes. It's not like I make a painting and I can just reproduce a print and then sell a print, and so have like, if you have a painting that's $5,000 or $10,000, then you can sell a print, a limited edition print, whether you're doing 200, 400, 500, whatever. There's quite a difference in the price. So how do I make prints of stone sculpture? Because I suppose when you get a print of a painting, it's not paint anymore, it's ink. So the medium is different. Things seem to be slowing down here. See if there's any more points that will come up. One more thing. I touched on this a little bit in my last video. One thing that I noticed is like, and I was actually writing about this morning too, is I've never seen myself as a content creator or an influencer, particularly an influencer, an artist influencer, a social media influencer, online influencer, YouTube influencer, however you want to put it, right? Influencer. I've never seen myself as an influencer, and in the fact, I kind of shunned that word. I thought it was for me, it was almost embarrassing. Like, I was embarrassed because what are my friends and family going to think if, and who is he to say that he's an influencer? He only has this many followers. Like, I'm 44 years old. You can't be an influencer. You have to be like 25 and have 1 million followers to be an influencer. And it was this point of embarrassment for me to sort of allow myself to start thinking about myself as a social media influencer, as someone who's online, and that word, I guess, right? Maybe an artist influencer. I don't even know how to phrase it. And the correlation that came up was like, how people are afraid to call themselves artists. And me being an artist, I've always called myself an artist because, first of all, I started calling myself an artist when I was a teenager or before that, because I was innocent and I didn't care. I didn't care about the rules. I was an artist because I was like, oh, art is cool. I'm an artist. Wow. I didn't have any hang-ups, right? And then I went to art school, and then I started painting all the time, and then I'm doing it professionally. So it's easy for me to say, oh, you just have to call yourself an artist, or for me to call myself an artist, because it's, the math adds up. But someone, I get that point all the time of people that are like, oh, I'm not really an artist, or I don't really call myself an artist. And my perspective is like, just say you're an artist. Like, who cares? No one cares. Like, I don't care as an artist if you call yourself an artist. Like, I'm not going to be like, you're not an artist. Yeah, you are an artist. If you make one piece of art, you can call yourself an artist. Like, it's so, I kind of thought maybe the whole influencer thing and me not wanting to call myself an influencer was almost like that, people not wanting to call themselves an artist. It has more to do with seeing myself in that light, because I have this idea of like, oh, I just want to be an artist. I don't want to do anything else. Yet here I am marketing, and I'm making like hundreds of videos, and I've made hundreds of videos online. But I still insist that, oh, I just want to be an artist. I don't want to be a YouTuber, right? And I still have judgments about, I still have these judgments attached to that word, even YouTuber, right? Someone who's on YouTube. And so it's just these programmed judgments that essentially is cutting me off. Like, that's what judgments do, right? They cut you off. Here's a good one. When I started stone carving, I refused to carve soapstone. I did not want to carve soapstone. I carved marble and limestone and onyx and serpentine and like the harder stones. And soapstone was a soft stone, and I was like, I don't want to go there. Everyone carves soapstone. I'm not going to do it, right? And I essentially refused, in a way, to carve soapstone. I didn't carve any soapstone for probably 4 or 5 years, maybe the odd piece here and there. And then I decided to give it a shot. And I could see this idea, this statement that I had held on to, oh, I'm not going to carve soapstone. I had placed this limitation onto myself. It's the same. Oh, I'm not an influencer. I don't want to be an influencer. I don't want to be a YouTuber. Yet here I am making tons of videos, putting them on social media for years and years and years, wanting to grow my channels. Why would I not want to be a YouTuber or a, like, this idea that somehow diminishes me as an artist is complete nonsense. Especially in the context of evolution, right? And what an artist is today versus what an artist was 100 years ago, or what an artist is going to be in 1,000 years. Like, let's let myself expand that definition a little bit, right? Look at Andy Warhol, right? He was a marketer, but he was an artist, right? So I started carving soapstone, and guess what? I started creating soapstone pieces, loving the process, selling them, and now I carve mostly soapstone. For the last 5 or 6 years, for a while, I was exclusively carving soapstone, and I reached this point, this realization, this moment where I was like, dang, here I was like in this judgment, or in this, I'd created this concept, this idea of I'm never going to carve soapstone. Why? I'd limited myself, right? So I had to let go of those. Here's another one. I am never going to carve what I am not going to be doing wildlife as my subject. That's not a real artist. Where did I learn this freaking idea? When I was 10 years old and 12 years old and 14 years old, and I would draw animals. The first drawing I ever sold was a drawing of an eagle head, or a hawk head. Actually, there was 2 of them. I was like 13 or 14. I drew this hawk head. I loved it. I would draw cougars and any kind of animal. Horses I would draw. Then I went to art school, and I learned that, well, that's not real art, right? You have to be a figurative or abstract, And it's like, No, 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 no. It's like, oh, a YouTuber? That's not a real artist. What the hell are you talking about? Dude, I go on YouTube and look at some of these artists that have these channels and they're using their channels to support themselves as artists and they're making art. Dude, the most amazing, amazing art. Amazing art. For me, it's like I got to break down a lot of these barriers, a lot of these limitations that I've accepted as what an artist is and what an artist is supposed to be, and what box am I trying to fit myself into, and who am I afraid of offending? What am I afraid of? Like my peers saying, "Oh, look at this! He's just on YouTube. Oh, how cringe, right? Oh, how embarrassing. Oh man, that is embarrassing. That's embarrassing that they have 500,000 subscribers and they're getting monetization and brand deals to help grow their art enterprise. How embarrassing is that? You know, I see artists that have this success online and it's like, there ain't nothing embarrassing about that. I want that. Here I am making videos, continuing to utilize social media to promote myself as an artist. And yeah, I've had some success, right? Some success. But I'm still here because I see so much more potential that could be what I had a few different points going here to tie it all together, letting go of the judgments around this new form, this new expansion of what it means to be an artist in today's world with technology, being on social media and creating content and that kind of thing. Shout out to Gary Vee. He's inspired me a lot in my social media journey, and you know, he ended up doing VFriends and making these drawings and building this sort of really creative, artistic, tapping into the art community as sort of an expansion of his passions, and VFriends comic books and trading cards, and really just building this really creative brand. And I think he's inspired me a lot over the years so shout out for Gary Vee, to sort of normalizing social media for people as a legitimate, honorable expression of creativity, which it absolutely is. And with that note, I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay. Cheers.